There will be discoveries of secret compartments and hidden gold treasure along the way. So join me for another amazing restoration. Hi, my name is Arie and I've been restoring antiques for over 25 years. In this video I'm going to show you the restoration of this painted writing desk from Sweden. From the neglected state it is in right now to the cared for state it will be in after restoration. The first discovery we make is a written message on the underside of one of the drawers from the maker and first owner of the desk. Probably made as a wedding gift, there's a date, 1835, and two names, one of which is Olaf Andersson. The little door on the inside indicates that the desk was finished in 1836. I'm starting this restoration by cleaning the painted finish on the outside of the writing desk. I'm using water with a mild liquid soap and steel wool. While I clean away, I'd like to tell you something about typical Swedish furniture. Instead of using veneer, bronze and marble to decorate their furniture, like most other countries, the outside of this piece of furniture is painted to imitate mahogany, and the decorative rosettes are carved in wood and painted to imitate bronze ones.
Just like the trimmings, the carvings are sculpted from the solid wood of the desk and not attached and glued.
Where others would have used actual marble, in Sweden they marbled the wood. One of the reasons for this regional variation in design is that Sweden, contrary to most other European countries, did not have colonies, so they had less access to tropical woods, for example. With the outside clean from wax and paint splatters, the next discovery I made happened when I opened one of the smaller drawers. It has a secret compartment hidden by a double drawer bottom. Inside, room for love letters, I would think. But what is actually inside is a piece of old newspaper from the 1940s and a small metal box. According to the internet, it's a watch box for the Swiss watchmakers brand Omega. Inside are several items, watch parts and a small cross pendant, but also a gold ring. For a moment I feel like a pirate finding gold treasure. But, according to the internet, it's only a gold-plated ring used as a temporary wedding band during gold shortages in the 1940s and not worth a lot of money. That may be, but to a previous owner it must have held sentimental significance, being hidden for over 80 years. The next discovery is another drawer with a secret compartment. Unfortunately, the bottom is missing but will be restored. After my adventurous finds, I return to cleaning the painted marble top of the writing desk. I used the same water soap solution and steel wool as I did on the rest of the painted surface. Steel wool sounds very abrasive, but the hardened linseed oil paint can take it. I'm taking off the writing slope by removing the screws that hold the hinges in place. And then I clean the dusty inside of the chest of drawers. My little hairy assistant Bella has other use for the hand brush. While Bella plays around, I'm taking out the drawers.
Bella is obviously smitten by the hand brush.
After retrieving my hand brush, I clean the dusty inside. Now the real restoration can begin.
I'm starting on the right-hand front corner where the trimming has been crudely repaired in the past and where a part is missing.
It was nailed on using no glue. I'm taking out the nails before I glue it back in its proper place. After the glue has dried, I'm taking off the construction tape I used for clamping. Construction tape is ideal for corners like this because it's super strong but also stretches a bit for extra clamping power. I'm filling in the seam with a wood filler and work on the piece of wood that was missing. While maneuvering the heavy chests on top of each other, two small pieces of wood broke out and are glued back in place. I used wood filler to cover the seams of the trimmings I glued back. After the filler has dried, I sand. Then I cover my restoration with an acrylic paint to match the original linseed oil paint. I know, it seems the color is off, but when I wet the original paint for its color, it's going to be a good match in the end. With that done, I move over to the right-hand back corner that has similar problems. I make some adjustments and replace the missing trimmings with pine wood. I glue in the rough pine wood and clamp with construction tape. Do you see how that stretches just a bit further to add clamping power? After the glue has dried, I remove the construction tape and plane the rough shape into its more definite size. Some sanding and acrylic paint blends this restoration in with the original parts. Time to move over to the left-hand front corner. I'm starting on the missing trimming again. They look like small damages, but they detract immensely from the appreciation of the writing desk. I'm gluing in rough pine wood again that I clamp with construction tape. You know by now how much I appreciate this tape. With the glue dried and the tape removed, I start my planing, chiseling and sanding to get to the final shape of the replaced trimming.
some wood filler on the seams, and after that has dried, I can apply my acrylic paint. Over time, locking the riding slope has worn away part of the wood, so let's fix the damaged profile. I'm sewing 2 cuts and chisel away the damaged wood within this area to replace it with rough pine wood. I'm cutting the pine wood piece to size and glue it in its place. A few taps with the hammer and the clamp will fix it in place. When the glue has dried, I plane the wood to its final shape. Because the profile is a hollow, I use my gouge and some sanding papers to get the correct shape. With wood filler I fill the seams and after drying I sand. I finish with acrylic paint to blend in restored area. Restoring those trimmings were a nice appetizer. But now for the main course. A more challenging part of this restoration will be the damaged drawer fronts. We will start with the upper drawer right-hand front area. Some wood is missing and a large splinter has been nailed back without glue and can actually still move. I'm taking out the nails first. With my trusted little crowbar, I make some room to get to the nails. When the nails are removed, I glue the splinters big and small. With a wet cloth, I remove the excess glue and clamp. After the glue has dried, I remove the clamps. And I'm taking off the excess glue with a damp cloth. Now I'm preparing the filling in of the missing wood by cleaning the edges. I'm cutting a straight line and clamping a piece of wood to guide my router. I'm gluing in a rough piece of pine. I will adjust the final shape later. I clamp and let the glue dry. After taking off the clamps, I'm adjusting the final size of the wood. After planing the wood to the right size, I sand and fill the seams with wood filler. After drying, I match the color and wood grain with acrylic paint to blend in the piece of wood. I'm wetting the original paint with a damp cloth to get an idea of the final color I need to match. Now I let the paint dry and will come back to it later. Let's focus on the next task ahead, the second drawer front that's damaged. A large splinter has broken loose, although it had been repaired in the past. I chiseled away remnants of the old glue to clean the wood. Then I put on new glue and clamps. After drying, I remove the clamps and fill the seams with wood filler. On this drawer in particular, the paint has bleached enormously into a beige instead of an orange. I leave the original degraded paint and top it with a transparent layer of acrylic paint to match the rest of the drawer. While the paint dries, I start working on the crack in the riding slope. I start by planing narrow strips of pine wood into the right width. I put glue in the crack and work it in with a palette knife. Then I hammer in a strip of pine wood and I clean off the excess glue. After drying, I plane the strip to the right size. I fill the seams with wood filler, and after that has dried, I apply acrylic paint to blend it all in. Besides the crack in the middle, there's also a damaged area on the left-hand corner side where the hinge goes. I'm making straight lines and chisel away the damaged wood, and I clean up the edges. Then I'm preparing a piece of pine wood to restore the damaged area with. I put glue on both pieces of wood and clamp them together. After the glue has dried, I remove the clamps and plane the inset piece of pine to the right size. I sand and apply acrylic paint to blend in the area. Where there's a crack on the outside of the riding slope, there's also a crack on the inside. That's next on my list. First, I take off the rings of yellow paint with a mild soap water solution and steel wool. Looks like our riding desk spent some time in a shed where they DIY'd. I fill the crack with glue and work it in with a spatula. Then I put in the pine wood strips I planed to size earlier. They still need some additional planing. Then I sand the strips and fill the seam with wood filler. I color the restored area with black acrylic paint to let it all blend in. Next is a little door. The door doesn't close properly because the hinges are loose. To fix this, I hammer down a metal pin in the hinge, and although it does give a result, it's not enough. So, I glue a piece of pine wood behind it, and that does the trick. I hammer it in deeper and cut off the excess strip with the bendable blade of my Japanese saw. Now for the restoration of the drawers with the secret compartments. Of the first drawer, the bottom is loose and will be glued back. I clamp with masking tape. There's also missing a piece of wood from the back of the drawer, so that will also be restored. I glue in a strip of pine wood that will fill out the back of the drawer but leaves the secret compartment open. Then I clamp and wipe off the excess glue with a damp cloth. After the glue has dried, I take off the masking tape and plane the strip of pine wood to the right size. I'm using my favorite chisel for the finishing touch, and I sand. Now for the second drawer with the secret compartment. I'm gluing in a pine wood strip because on this drawer back is also missing a piece of wood. After the glue has dried, I'm planing the strips to the right size. With chiseling and sanding for the finishing touch. I'm taking measurements for the missing false bottom of the drawer. I found this old piece of pine board in my hoard of wood that was the right thickness. For the width, it needs some adjustments. I plane the edges straight. Then I cut the board in two. I take over the measurements of the drawer bottom. I cut the plank to the right length size. When I put them together, they are too wide and overlap in the middle. I take over the measurements of the drawer bottom. I mark the piece that has to go. Because the grain of the wood is lengthwise and very regular in this case, the quickest way is to split the wood and plane the edges. I glue the two boards together and clamp. After the glue has dried and I remove the clamps, I take off the excess glue with a chisel and I sand. Now let's see if it fits. And it does. I glue in the double drawer bottom, set my clamps and let the glue dry. I take off the clamps and I'm particularly happy with this restoration of the secret compartment. I think that every desk should have them. And now for the damaged marbling on the top of the writing desk. I start by filling in the base color of the most damaged areas with an acrylic paint. Then with a damp cloth I blend in the painted areas. I add an acrylic glaze to match the color of the base coats. And then the fun part can begin. I love this freehand marbling. I can actually feel the craftsman's joy. He must have had so much fun being this original while imitating a marble. For me, I'm just following his handwriting. I'm using acrylic paint and a damp cloth for a more faded look. To protect the marble top, I brush on a transparent coat of a matte acrylic varnish. With the marbling restored, it's time to put the writing desk together again. I'm putting the drawers back in again and attach the writing slope. I almost forgot the two drawers with the secret compartments. Their damaged paint sets them apart from the rest of drawers. We want them to stay secret, so I brush on acrylic paint to make them blend in. For the finishing touch, I brush on a clear coat of furniture wax. For protection, but also to deepen the color of the paintwork. You can see how much of a difference it makes. It really brings out the orange. Now, do you see why I wet the original paint before blending in the new wood? After the wax has dried, I buff it up to a good shine. I cut my calling card to a smaller size. Normally I don't do this, but I add my calling card to the content of the metal box.
This is going to be our little secret until somebody else finds this hidden treasure.
Remember what it looked like before? This is what it looks like after restoration.